Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into a genuinely fascinating and, yeah, kind of intimidating idea about success. What if the reason we're missing our goals isn't bad luck and it isn't laziness, but it's just because we're aiming way too small? We're exploring the core premise from Grant Cardone's The 10X Rule. And the big takeaway here is that aiming for small, quote unquote, realistic goals is actually the root of failure. Basically, ordinary goals just create ordinary lives.
So, right off the bat, I want you to ask yourself something. What is the absolute biggest goal you have ever set? Like, lock it in your brain right now. We're doing this to immediately break you out of your current operating system. Because let's be honest, most of us play life on safe mode. We dream just enough to feel good about ourselves, right? But not nearly enough to actually break through our limits. So, you got that massive goal in your head?
Okay, now multiply it by 10. Seriously, 10 times bigger. If that sounds completely crazy, well, that's exactly the point Cardone is making. The hard truth here is that if your target doesn't scare you at least a little bit, it's just not big enough to inspire real change. The 10x rule isn't about just being unrealistic for the fun of it. It's about unlocking the version of you that stops settling for average and starts acting like greatness is literally your only option.
Section 1. Defining the core concept.
So, what is the 10x rule exactly?
It's essentially two parts. First, you multiply your target goal by 10. But second, and honestly, this is where almost everyone drops the ball, you have to multiply the effort you believe it takes to achieve it by 10 as well. Most people dramatically underestimate both sides of this equation. You know, they set a small goal, put in a tiny bit of effort, and then throw in the towel and they don't see immediate results because they simply never prepared for what real success actually demands.
Let's look at it like this. It's a perfect illustration of the two mindsets. Average thinking asks, hey, how can I make an extra $1,000 this month? If you ask that, you might, I don't know, stand up an extra hour, do a little side hustle, and probably give up if it gets too annoying. But 10x thinking asks, how can I make an extra $10,000? That single shift in the question forces entirely new levels of innovation. It forces creativity. It absolutely prevents you from settling for mediocrity, because your current level of effort simply won't cut it for a 10 grand goal. And this brings us to a really powerful quote from Cardone: never reduce your target, increase your actions. Think about it. Most people shrink their dreams down to fit inside their current comfort level. But high performers, they do the exact opposite. They expand their effort to meet those massive dreams. The goal stretches you, it pushes you way past your normal excuses, and ultimately it changes who you become in the pursuit of it.
Moving on to Section 2, the 4 degrees of action. Cardone basically does a behavioral audit here, breaking down our actions into 4 degrees. Let's walk through the first 3. First is doing nothing. These are the folks paralyzed by fear, always waiting for the perfect time. It feels safe, but doing nothing is wildly expensive because it costs you time, which you literally never get back. Second is retreat. This is when you try, you fail, and you run running backward. Retreating is destructive. It just slowly kills your potential. Third is normal action, and this is where most people live. You put in some effort, see some results, everything's fine. But fine is the land of mediocrity. Normal action keeps you comfortable, for sure, but it will absolutely never make you great. But if we're talking about extraordinary success, that lives exclusively in the top 1% zone. And to get there, it requires a complete, total departure from normal. The world just doesn't reward minimal compliance, it rewards massive effort. So to get to that top 1%, you need the 4th degree, taking massive action. This is relentless. It's unstoppable effort. People operating at this level just flood the world with action. They make more calls, they take more risks, they push so much harder. And the defining trait? When everyone else starts getting tired and slowing down, the people taking massive action are speeding up and finding solutions. Which brings us to Section 3, thinking beyond limits.
The source gives us some incredible historical examples to really drive this home. Look at the Wright brothers. They didn't stop and ask, wait, can humans actually fly? No, they asked, how do we make it happen?
Or look at Elon Musk. He didn't say, let's build another standard car company. He aimed to build a self-driving electric sports car. Breakthroughs only happen for the people who absolutely refuse to accept limits. Small goals create small problems, and small problems, they never force you to grow.
Section 4. Dismantling the balance myth.
Okay, we really need to tackle one of the biggest societal ideas holding people back. The myth tells us we need to keep our lives perfectly balanced so we don't overwork ourselves. But the 10x reality argues something entirely different. Extraordinary greatness requires intense obsession. Think about the real world changers. Did Steve Jobs live a perfectly balanced life while building Apple? Did Serena Williams win all those grand slams by practicing just enough? No way. They achieved greatness through absolute undivided obsession. Success just does not respond to part-time effort.
And here is the really tough pill to swallow. Balance is often just a disguise for fear. The source points out that people use balance as a convenient excuse. It's a way to avoid the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, and just the sheer terrifying discomfort of going all in on a massive goal. But when you become truly obsessed with your vision, fear completely loses its grip on you. Section 5. Using fear and criticism as fuel. So, what happens when you start taking all this action? You're going to hit pushback. We need to reframe these concepts. First, fear isn't a red stoplight, it's actually a signal that you're finally leaving your comfort zone. It's a compass pointing you to exactly what's worth doing. Second, criticism. Look, if you aren't getting criticized, you simply aren't doing enough. Criticism is just proof you're making enough noise to get noticed. And finally, failure. Every single 10x thinker knows failure is never a dead end. It is pure data. It's feedback. It teaches you exactly what doesn't work so you can pivot.
Section 6. The 10x Lifestyle Playbook.
Let's transition from theory to execution. These 4 actionable steps are your new daily roadmap. Step 1. Obviously, multiply your goals by 10 to stretch your thinking. Step 2. Focus entirely on executing massive actions. Double your calls, triple your output, whatever it takes. Step 3 is crucial. Track your daily effort, not just the outcomes. Too many people quit because the results aren't instant. But remember, progress happens way before the results actually show up. And step 4, take 100% responsibility. If everything is your fault, that means you also have the power to create the solution. Drop all the excuses. Now, while you're executing all this, you've got to keep this front of mind. Surround yourself with ambitious, driven energy. Cardone has a pretty stark warning here. Mediocrity is highly contagious. If your circle is full of complainers, doubters, or small thinkers, they are going to drag your standards down. It is absolutely vital to protect your environment and surround yourself with people who pull you higher. Keep this in mind. Success isn't about talent. It's about tenacity. Massive action is not a one-time, hyped-up push. It has to become a habit. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Ultimate success doesn't belong to the smartest person in the room or even the most experienced. It belongs to the one who flat out refuses to quit. So I want to wrap up this explainer with one final, pretty provocative question. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Think about it. Because right on the other side of that fear is exactly where 10x thinking lives. It is time to stop living on autopilot. Stop letting those quote-unquote realistic goals hold you back and demand massive action from yourself today. Start right now, keep pushing, and I promise you're never going to want to go back to small thinking again.